Hey guys and girls, I'm James and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about buying a drone, or maybe your second drone, and all the different options that drones come and what all that means. The difference between brushless motors, brushed motors, GPS, non-GPS, intelligent batteries, multiple axis gimbals. Do you need it? Do you not need it? And what does even all that even mean? So we're going to go over all that. We're going to talk about buying a new drone, a used drone, and then at the end we'll be talking about some FPV. So let's talk about buying a new drone. Recently, I got a second Maverick Pro 3 as a backup because a guy wanted a drone for Christmas and his wife ran to Best Buy. And of course the guy says, oh, your first drone? Of course it needs to be a Maverick 3 combo, $3,000. So he opens it up at Christmas and he's terrified to fly this thing. Why? Because he doesn't want to go out like most people do and do their research and come home with something like this. So I met with him and I set him right, gave him a Mini SC, we exchanged the difference, and he's really happy when we go down the road. So should something like this be your first drone? No. What should be your first drone? Your first drone should be something like this. If you watch my channel, I talk about mini drones all the time because these are the perfect tools to learn the orientation of a drone and how a drone flies. So that Maverick 3 and this drone, they both sit on four axes and the controls act the same. So you should fly this around your house, let your dogs chase it, have some fun until your skill set takes over and your subconscious flies it and you don't have to think about the controls. It doesn't take long. You know, if you're 20, you're going to get a lot faster than an old guy like me. But I've always said I'd really like the Holystone HS210 as the first beginner mini drone, but my next video is on this Holystone 330 and it's got modular batteries and I really like this one. But the best deal out there right now is the Sandrock U61. And the good thing about this one, not only does it have covered props, but it has a camera. Even though the camera's not really good, it teaches you all the things you need to know to set a drone up. Because not only do you have to bind the drone to the controller and set the gyros, you have to learn how to use the Wi-Fi on your phone to get the app to work, for the camera to work, and how to calibrate the compass. And that may seem like a lot of work, but you know, you've got to do a compass calibration even on the $10,000 Inspire behind me. And when we go do the drone shows, we got to do it on all 360 of them. Now that takes a long time. This one right now is a great deal on Amazon right now. It's I think it's 40% off. So for $40, this is a great drone to learn on. And it comes with multiple modular batteries. I wish I'd have done this first. The first drone I bought was this big ugly thing from a furniture store for $750, and I got it home and smashed it into my neighbor's Suburban. And the second drone I bought was this Holystone HS700, and I had to keep climbing trees to get it out because I didn't understand the aspects of how to set a drone up. So I hooked a fishing line up to it. Yeah, this is me rolling it down on a fishing line because I got tired of climbing trees and getting it out. Because I didn't make a pre-start checklist and I didn't follow through. So I read all the time on social media of these flyaways. So I promise you, over 90% of the time it's user error because they skip one step. And you got to go through those steps every time you change the battery. So let's talk about some different terminology on drones. This is the HS440, which is the mini of the HS720, which is a good drone. And this is the Holystone HS175. They may look similar, but this one's a non-GPS drone and this one's a GPS drone. What is that? Well, this one uses the satellites to hold its position in the air. This one, when you're out flying it, you're flying this one manually. So if the wind's blowing it and you don't know how to control it, it's going to blow away. Where the satellites are going to control this one. So really, this drone's flying itself. You're just telling it which direction to go. Because even if you grab it and pull it 3 feet to the left, it's going to go right back because it wants to hold its position. So these are only $20 or $30 apart. So when you're looking at a drone, $20 or $30 more, you may want to get a GPS drone. But then again, this is the Holystone HS175D, and they look exactly alike. But this one has brushless motors, and this one has brushed motors. Brushed motors use a little gear in here to turn the so if the propellers ever get jammed up, it breaks that gear, and this drone's almost worthless. Can you change it? Yeah, but it's a pain. Also, brushed motors, they get hot because there's heat. They take more power, and they don't last as long. Where brushless motors are like two magnets spinning inside of each other. They're a lot faster. They last longer. And there's less heat. So this one's only $20 or $30 more than this one. So that's another thing to consider. Also, this one, if you look, the camera's very well protected, but it's only a one-axis gimbal, so it goes up and down. So it'll take really good pictures, but if you're trying to get good video and this drone's moving around, your horizon's going to tilt in the video, which is going to make it really choppy. So if you want to go to a multiple axis gimbal, I reviewed this drone, this 101 drone, and it's under $200. But once you start getting over the $200 range, there's only one drone to consider to me that's under $300, and that's this DJI Mini SC. I think this is the best deal in the universe. DJI has 74% of the market for a reason, because they make really good drones, and I think they sell this one way too cheap. And the new Mini 2 has the bigger controller with OcuSync 3. And guys say, James, the Mini SC is a 2.7K camera and the new one's a 4K camera. You know, you got to get the best one. As guys, we always want the best thing out there, but guys, 2.7K is just fine. 1080p is even fine for YouTube, and this thing flies amazing. Also, this only comes with one battery, but the older Mini batteries will go in this one, and you can get those really cheap. And this thing flies amazing, multiple axis gimbal. So if you're even in the $300 range, this is the one to get. So talking about cameras, this is the original Autel, and this is the Autel Evo 2. This one shoots 4K, this one shoots 6K. They even make one that's 8K, and you're like, man, I gotta have 8K. Do you even have an 8K television? Do you even have a 6K television? Guys, if you get home and you're shooting in 8K, and you're gonna shoot for 30 minutes, and you're gonna get home and you're gonna have 100 gigabytes. It's just too much information. Saying that you gotta have this one over this one is like saying you gotta have the 2022 Corvette because it has 800 horsepower, where the one last year only has 750 horsepower. Well, it's more horsepower than you're probably ever gonna need. That's the same way with both these drones. The Mini SC is gonna be the drone that's gonna fulfill more than what 90% of people want. But they say it doesn't have obstacle avoidance. But obstacle avoidance is overrated. The only drone that I would ever trust the obstacle avoidance on it is the Skydio 2. But this one only really flies good autonomously, like with the beacon. If you're trying to fly this with the controller, I mean, you think you're stuck in beginner mode because it flies too well. You can put the beacon in your pocket and ride your mountain bike through the woods, and this thing will follow you right behind you and not hit anything. So the obstacle avoidance on the Skydio 2 is by far the best. The other ones, it's great to have it there, and it could work sometimes, but I would never trust it. There's too many crash drones out there that go in the trash because people trusted the obstacle avoidance. So that's going over some of the terminology of drones. So let's talk about where to buy them. Where to buy them? I mean, the best place to go is straight to the manufacturer. If you ever have any problem, you can send it straight back. If you buy it straight from DJI, they have all kinds of protection programs where if you crash it or if you have problems, they just send you a new one. Amazon's a great place to buy drones. So is like B&H Photo. You need to look around and make sure you're getting the best deal. One thing like on Amazon right now, the DERC D10 is like $93. But if you look on eBay, this Holystone 240 is the same drone and it's under $40. And this is a really good drone for under $40. So if you're buying on eBay, be sure and check the seller. Like even today right now, there's someone selling an Air 2S for half price. But if you look down, it says, if you look at the seller, there's a 0 next to it. That means don't buy from that guy. When it's too good to be true, it probably is. Like here in DFW, we have an app called OfferUp. It texts me every time a drone goes up for sale. And I recently bought like a Roku F11 for $40, which is the same thing as a DERC D22. And I'm gonna make a whole video series of droning on a budget. Like I got a really good deal on the original DJI Air. So as far as buying a used drone, where do you buy them at? Well, don't buy them on eBay. I've got 2 Typhoon H's in my garage that are worthless. The gimbal's broke on the other one, and the other one, the controller doesn't work. I bought both of them on eBay, and even though they have the protection program, one of the sellers said the gimbal was broke, and the other guy said I must have messed it up or something. So don't buy used drones on eBay. You're just wasting your money. Like I bought a Swell Pro, and it worked great and flew great, but it wouldn't record to the SD card. But luckily that seller took that one back. So yeah, I think you're just wasting your time buying used drones on eBay. So the only way to buy a used drone is in person and make sure they fly it. Another thing, and if you don't know how to fly it, take someone with you. Don't trust the seller to show you everything. So if you meet someone and they can't fly it because you're in a no-fly zone, don't buy it. Until you see that drone fly, the camera works, everything works. And if you're afraid to fly it, then bring someone with you that knows how to fly and check the drone out. Drones are like treadmills. People buy a treadmill and they think they're going to get in shape. The treadmill goes in the corner and all it turns out to be is a place to hold your clothes. Well, it's the same thing with drones. People spend a fortune on drones. They get home, they're terrified to fly them, or they lose interest, they go on a shelf, and a year later they think, here's a way to make some money, and they put it out there for sale. So there's some really good deals out there on used drones. So another thing to do is make sure when you buy a DJI drone that they log out of their account. Because if you don't, when you get home and you try to work with it, and especially with the January update, your drone gets locked, kind of like an Apple product. If it gets stolen, it gets locked. Well, the same thing with DJI. I've got an Air 2S, an Air, and a Mini 2 right now that are worthless to me that I need to sell it for parts because I used to use them with my smart controller, and when I tried to go back to the old controller, it asked me to log in, and I can't. Well, all that happened in January with DJI. I reached out to DJI. They say I have to get hold of the guy I bought them from, and that was a year ago. So I've got 3 drones that are worthless to me. So be sure that you make sure when you buy a drone that they log out of their account so you can log into it with your DJI account. And that's with any drones. And also, people are scared of buying DJI because people hear about all the ban that's going to happen to them. I wouldn't be too worried about it now, but if you are worried about that, you know, Autels are made in the United States, and these are amazing drones. They really are. Their customer service is fantastic. These things fly amazing. And the new Nano's a little bit more expensive, but that's an amazing drone. Also, recently I saw that this original Autel one was on sale at Best Buy for $750. And to me, this is just as good as a DJI Pro 2, and this is more like the Maverick 3. So if you want obstacle avoidance and you want to spend a little bit more than $300 on the Mini SC, I think the Air 2 and the Air 2S are by far the best drones out there for the money. If you watch my video with the professional photographer Joel, sometimes he doesn't pull out his $3,000 camera to do real estate photography. He just walks around with his Air 2S and films the house on the inside, and no one knows the difference because they have the same sensor. This thing has an amazing camera on it, and the color saturation is amazing. So let's talk a little bit about FPV. DJI came out with the FPV about a year and a month ago, and I got it the first day it came out. I had bought a bunch of analog stuff, but I don't know how to solder. I couldn't get Betaflight to work. It was just all confusing to me. So I got really excited when the DJI FPV came out. And this still is one of the most important drones to me that's ever been produced. But it's really, to me, it's not a true FPV. Because I've spent about 60 hours in the simulator, I got really good at acro, and when I go out and fly this, it flies good. But man, if you break this thing, it's expensive. My other drones, I'll show you in a minute, you can crash them so hard and they won't damage. Some great things it does have intelligent batteries, proprietary only towards this drone. I'll explain that in a minute. To throw it into acro, I was so scared I bought another one just to fly acro and one just to fly. So if you just want to fly FPV with the goggles to get the experience, this is still an amazing drone because you can start out flying it just like a camera drone. So it's got several different levels. You can fly it in normal mode, then you can go up into horizon mode, level mode, all the way to acro. And if you're flying acro and you get in trouble, you can throw it right back into normal mode and do return to home, which other FPVs don't have. Also, if you buy the DJI FPV, the remote that it comes with only goes to that drone, but they do sell the DJI remote that works with all the other HD drones. So when you're buying FPV, there's 2 different worlds. There's analog and there's digital. Guys, if you buy analog, you're going to be looking through goggles and it's going to look like a 1970s TV. It's going to be really glitzy with lots of lines in it. I say definitely go digital, and I have a video on that. But there's all kinds of videos that explain that. So my suggestions, if you want to go FPV, to get the goggles, get the DJI remote, and get this is the ProTech 2.5 Pusher. What does Pusher mean? Well, the props are pointing down, which gives this one a lot more stability than like the ProTech 3.5. But both of these are really good drones because they're protected, but this one really, it's so much fun to fly, and you can have a blast with this thing for a long time. This one's a lot faster, but I'm really impressed with my Nazgul Evoke F5. Guys, this thing is easier to fly than you think because it has a different levels just like the DJI. But these are carbon arms. I can't tell you how hard I've crashed this. I've had it like 200 foot in the air and I meant to go to acro mode and I killed the motors, and by the time it fell down, it fell 200 feet out of, and all I did was break the antenna. Luckily it didn't fall on my camera. But guys, these things are a blast. Another thing too, if you're buying FPV, don't buy used, only buy new. Don't waste your time. If you're buying a used FPV, you're buying someone else's problem. I bought this CV-Tard Cinewhoop, and the first time I was flying it, the motor fell out of it, which burned up the motor. When I was trying to weld the motor on, I burned up the board, and I've got so I was spending another $300 or $400 trying to get this thing going, and all I've had with it is troubles. So don't buy used FPV. That's my advice. It's not worth the time, it's not worth the hassle. But I'm not telling you I'm an FPV expert. I'm only telling you what I've done and the experience that I've had over the past years with FPV. But as far as the camera drones, I mean, I've bought hundreds of camera drones and I've made all the mistakes that are out there to be made. So all of this has just been common sense and things that I've learned throughout the years of buying drones and having a blast. It's my passion. You can probably tell by the way I talk about them. So as always, if you got something out of this, please like and subscribe. And I am going to come out with a lot of videos going over the different drones that I've bought used, and I'm going to call it droning on a budget. If you've got some good deals on drones out there, let me know. And also soon I have the review of the Holystone HS720G that's coming out. I've had this thing for 2 months and it doesn't get released till next month. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Because it flies horrible with the controller, but as far as flying autonomously, 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 but as far as flying and the obstacle avoidance working it does have intelligent batteries, but they're proprietary only towards this drone. And also I've got the review of the Holystone H, and also I got the and also soon I have the remote. And also soon I have the, and soon I want to, and I'll be putting some videos out called Droning on a Budget. Kind of like I got this Phantom 4 Pro version. Kind of like I got this Phantom 4 Pro, like I got this Phantom 4 Pro for $400, and this is an amazing drone because it has a mechanical shutter.